Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1589B, and today's date is June 11th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Major Event Worldwide, Stay Vigilant, Follow the White Rabbit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like George Soros is having a major problem in Europe, and we can see that it has started with Italy. And this is why Soros was out there saying we need more refugees, we need more refugees. We need the EU to spend a lot of money to get the people from Africa up into Europe because we need to have open borders and we need to blend everything. And we need this. There's a crisis going on and we need to solve the crisis. Well, it looks like Italy is putting a stop to all of this because right now Matteo Salvini, now operating as the Minister of the Interior, well, looks like he's making good on his warning last week. And he's saying that the good times for illegals are over. And he's saying that Rome will no longer accept refugees. And he went on to say that Malta might be the safest port for the passengers and advising that Rome will no longer offer refugee support. And we see right now that it has already started. Now, we understand that Italy has been accepting all these refugees for a very long time and is coming to an end. And George Soros, he's very upset about this and does not like this. And you can see that his plans, they are completely falling apart. And everything is moving away from the deep state, the globalist agenda, and moving to a completely different agenda. And once again, he needs to go into Africa to get the refugees because the Middle East, the refugees are returning home right now. Because what's happening there? Well, everything is coming to an end. The deep state is being pushed out. And these refugees, where they had a lot of them, guess what? Millions of them are returning home right now, and they don't have them. And this is why Soros is so desperate right now. And with Italy doing this, we're going to see other European countries do the same. And they're going to say, you know something? We're following Italy. We're not keeping our borders open. And we saw this in the past. So things are changing very, very rapidly right now. We know that the summit in Singapore is on. We see Jong Un is there. Trump is there. And they're going to meet and they're going to be talking about this. And I said this before, and we're going to be talking about all the Q drops. And Q has dropped a lot of breadcrumbs today. And like we said in the past, that this summit, this is for show. Everything has been already taken care of. The meeting already happened. This is for the world, the corporate media. It's been scripted. It's a show, and Q confirms all this, and we'll be getting into that in a little bit. But what's very interesting about this is that Trump was out there saying that he'll know in a couple of minutes if things are going to go well or not. He already knows if they're going to go well or not. We already see that Jong Un is saying, listen, the second part of the summit, I would like to have Trump visit North Korea. And we see right now that all of this has been staged and everything is already set. And again, this is all for show. We see that Russia, they have sent another signal that shows that they want and they're helping to get peace in Afghanistan. And on June 7th, we know that the Afghan government announced a week-long ceasefire with the Taliban to coincide with the end of Ramadan. And they announced the ceasefire would start on June 12th and last through June 19th. And we see right now that the Russian Foreign Ministry statement on the ceasefire initiative in Afghanistan was released on June 8th. And this is what they said about the ceasefire. We commend the decision of Afghan President Ghani to declare a temporary ceasefire in connection with the upcoming end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. We note that the temporary ceasefire was offered only to the Taliban and does not extend to the international terrorist groups, primarily the Islamic State. We urge the Taliban to respond positively to this initiative, and this would be a step towards peace and would allow the Afghan people to celebrate this holiday without having to fear for their lives or their lives of their loved ones. We confirm our support for efforts to start peace talks between the government of Afghanistan and the leaders of the Taliban movement for the sake of achieving national reconciliation in long-suffering Afghanistan and ending the war. And I do believe that Russia is involved. Trump is working with Putin once again, and it looks like they're going to be pushing peace in Afghanistan. And this is just the beginning stages of what they're trying to do. Just like with North Korea, it took quite a while to reach this point. And remember, the corporate media is going to continually push the idea that, no, there's terrorists, we're going to be going to war, while we know who controls the terrorists. It's the deep state. They're the ones who put them in there. They're the ones who control them. They're the ones who support them and pay for them. We see right now that the U.S.-backed militants, they are ready to talk with the Syrian government, and they're ready for unconditional peace talks with the central government of Damascus. And this is the Syrian Democratic Council, which is linked to the Syrian Democratic Force. This is the umbrella militant group, which was created by the deep state. They just renamed them, and it looks like they're looking to have peace. But the Russians are out there once again saying, listen, we see right now, and we have credible intelligence, that there's another false flag being orchestrated in Syria. The Syrian rebels, they're getting prepared for another chemical attack provocation using chlorine to provoke a Western airstrike on Syrian government forces. They're trying it once again. They're trying another false flag because they realize they don't have that much time left. The deep state, everything that they fought for, everything that they've tried to do over the many, many years is coming to an end. And Assad is becoming very, very brave right now because he does have the upper hand. He does have the backing of Russia. And he's out there pointing the finger saying, well, the West, they're the ones who are responsible for all this. They're responsible for the bloodshed in Syria. The US, UK, France, and others, they're all responsible for what is happening inside of Syria. And we can see that as time goes on, and as Russia and Syria and the deep state is pushed out, those countries, they're getting braver and braver, and they're calling out the Western powers. And we see that this is going to continue. Let's move on to the Q drops, because Q has been dropping quite a bit. He's also been dropping a lot of pictures. And the first picture that we see, this is the so-called super trees at the Gardens of the Bay in Singapore. This is where the summit is being held. And we see with multiple other pictures that this is where this is all happening. And this is part of a huge complex. There's domes, there's trees. It's the building that has 3 buildings with a gigantic platform on top. If you want to see these pictures, they are on the X22Report.com site, or you can see them on YouTube. But you can see right now that this is where these pictures are being taken from. And if we look at the Q post, we see something very interesting. And this is Q post 1441, which was posted today. And this is what it says. Start the clock. A week to remember. Think logically. First private, class 5-6. Second public. Blackwater on guard. Evidence kills. These people are stupid. Now let's break this down a little bit and see what this means. Now there's a lot of Anons who are deciphering this. We have Neon Revolt. We have other anonymous Anons that are deciphering this. We're looking at this all together, trying to figure out what all this means. Now, Q gives us a signal to start the clock. I think this is obvious. Reference to Trump and Kim Jong Un's peace summit meeting. Trump and Kim's first meeting was private. Like we said in other reports, the meetings that happened before were all private. This one is public. This is the show. This is the show for the corporate media, for the world. But everything else has already been laid out. Evidence kills. Well, an Anon had a thought about this. Kim has the evidence. They're trying to kill him. And that means the clowns, the intelligence agencies, the deep state, they're trying to shut him up. And the question is, Blackwater on guard. The question was asked, oh, Blackwater is guarding POTUS? This is 1442. And Q responded, no, not POTUS. So the question is Blackwater guarding Kim Jong Un? Maybe. And then we have this post from Melissa Chiak. I don't know if I pronounced her name right. but she gives a little synopsis that it is Kim. She went on to say, with Kim staying at the St. Regis Hotel in Singapore, he might be putting up in the 3,600 square foot presidential suite on the 20th floor. If he is, he'll have access to a private balcony gym and jacuzzi, among other things. And when you look at it, it looks like it's the same exact pictures that Q has put up there, showing the balcony, showing the glass, and it looks like it's the same balcony rails. So she might be right on with this. Now, at this point, I'm going to be jumping around in the posts because I grouped them together because they make a little bit more sense in how Q was posting, because some of them went together and others didn't, so I moved them around a little bit. So we're going to start at post 1446, where Q says every single picture posted is original, pulled / wiped or taken. Think about what that means. Now, Anons have said that Q is telling us and also showing the black hats that they can wipe pictures from any device anywhere at any given time. They can also take pictures from the black hats and show these pictures. So the black hats can see their pictures being posted on Q's site where he or she, the group of Q, is dropping these pictures. And basically, this is why Q is saying, think about this logically. Now, Q has dropped hints for months about this meeting. Trump has talked about it for a very long time, and they telegraphed it quite often. Even though Q has told us in past posts that POTUS never telegraphs his moves. Think logically. Why did POTUS announce his intention to pull out of Syria? Moves and counter moves. These people are stupid. So the part from this post, which was on April 8th, 2018, POTUS never telegraphs his moves, except he seemingly has been for months. Why? Well, one Anon has a theory, and we're reading from March 27th drops. And what we're looking at right now is that the SEAL Team Pick says, we'll arrange the meeting. What if Q and company have trolled all these bad actors by making it look like POTUS will be in Singapore so they can gather all of the bad actors in one location? POTUS is not in Singapore right now, but there is a large contingent of white hat operators set up for an epic sting on any black hat operator that shows up there looking to disrupt the Kim-Trump summit. Q has arranged the meeting. This is a show, the final stage. Q is showing us pictures that the black hats have taken while they were in Singapore, scouting potential sniper nests and tactical positions. Now, the pictures that we saw, Q said these were pulled, they were wiped. Some are original, some are from black hats. So maybe the reason why Q and POTUS were telegraphing all of this was to get these individuals into this area and figure out what they were up to. The Singapore summit was an epic troll to get the bad guys to show up looking for trouble, but little do they know, they have just walked into the biggest mousetrap they've ever built. Now, this is a possibility. Let's move on to post 1443. And this post, which was put out today, yesterday, June 10th, there's a lot in here. Now, the first one is hashtag fly brackets Rod Rosenstein fly hashtag. And that's the kill box for Rod Rosenstein. This is a message to Rosenstein. Failure per White House instruction agreement. Well, it looks like Rod Rosenstein, he didn't do the right thing. It looks like he was given a choice, but he didn't do the right thing, and he was flipping back and forth, and it looks like Rosenstein is a black hat. Declassification public bracket 3 bracket. Executive order dated official. EO to declassify what Rosenstein is hiding. Follow the pen. Inspector General redactions. Heavy plus remove. Well, the report that the Inspector General is going to deliver is going to be heavily redacted. They try to remove all of it. Hussein, bracket, White House, bracket, call, close bracket, open bracket, tarmac, close bracket, Rod Rosenstein. Obama is directly implicated. Rosenstein helped with the meeting on the tarmac. Then it went on to say JC, James Comey, number 2 McCabe, LL Loretta Lynch, BP Bill Priestap, PS Peter Strzok, LP Lisa Page. 302s, this is where they edited what was to be released. Text, tarmac, FBI, Department of Justice, operative, insertions, white hats figured it out and have all the goods to prosecute. UK, Signal Intelligence Service, 5x5 helped. Thanks to those in the Signal Intelligence Service. Dark to light. Shall we play a game? And he's talking to Rod Rosenstein right now. You have a choice. Do what is right. FBI agents willing to testify, more than 24 of them. Deep State is being threatened that if they don't do what's right, they have the agency to testify. Now is your chance to come clean, Department of Justice. Next, CIA. Offer open. Now's your chance to come clean. So basically, Q is saying to the FBI, to the Department of Justice, to CIA, to all those individuals, it is now time to come clean. If you don't, well, you know what's going to happen. So it looks like Rosenstein is a black hat after all. Had gone back and forth for a while on the issue, but it looks like Q is saying he's reneging on a previous agreement he had with the White House. Not good. Well, it looks like it's time to get rid of him. So Rod Rosenstein had the opportunity to fly free. He's not cooperating. He's not following the White House instruction, the agreement they had. Documents are to be released to the public in 3 days. Poe has signed the declassification executive order, and it's official. The Inspector General has been redacted heavily. Obama called the White House tarmac meeting with Clinton, Loretta Lynch. Rosenstein was there. And we see that this is all coming out. All of this is falling apart. So Q posted 1457. Where is Rod Rosenstein? What country specifically? Why? Insurance pleas will fail. You cannot hide what is already known, and it can be proven. Pound, kill box, Rod Rosenstein, pound, and it looks like Rod Rosenstein is fleeing right now. 1458. Ask about the letter, however. A Department of Justice official said Rod Rosenstein is currently representing the United States in a brief, unrelated visit to a foreign nation, one of America's key intelligence partners, indicating he would plan on responding during the previously scheduled briefing on Thursday. This statement should ring alarms. So where is he? Probably in the Five Eyes. He's panicking. Post 1459. Q puts up Rod Rosenstein.png. It's a picture of the Punisher. Who is the Punisher? Giuliani. It looks like it's all falling apart right now. Let's move on, and let's move backwards, actually, to Q Post 1445. Track all suicides. We know that Kate Spade committed suicide. We know that Anthony Bourdain committed suicide. And actually, Q lists example 1. Think Spade. Trace to Children Foundations, New York. Traced to import-export. Trace from China to Long Beach. Trace sale spinoff of company. Trace to CF. Trace to port security clearance profile. Who granted? Hussein, Barack Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Expect a lot more. So look, Q just verified that Kate Spade's suicide wasn't just a normal suicide. And he gave very specific instructions on how to link this one back to the Clinton Foundation. And Anons, they immediately went at it and they started tracking everything down. New York Center for Children, Spade, Crisis Intervention and Counseling, staff, experts speak with anyone in need of intervention and assisting as a result of child abuse. It also provides referral and advocacy services. This is all linked to the Clinton Foundation. It's all linked together. It's linked everywhere. And there's a little picture on the X22 Report on what this Annan put together, where Kate Spade has 2 foundations, and she sold the company. There was other people involved, and it goes down the whole list, and it looks like she was involved in a lot of this. Let's move on to post 1447. Now, in post 1447, an anonymous Anon basically poses a question to Q, not necessarily from our guys. All the pictures that we've seen before of the summit area in Singapore, he's saying that all these pictures are not from the White House, some are from the black hats. And Q actually verifies and says, yeah, these are photos that came from the black hats. So it looks like they were planning something there, and things were being maneuvered to maybe take out Kim Jong Un. And it looks like that's what they were trying to do. Now, post 1448 is very interesting because it says false flag weather alert worldwide. Stay vigilant and maintain situational awareness. And what I'm getting out of this is what we've been saying all along. The deep state is in trouble right now. They're backed against a wall. They're floundering. Everything is coming out, and it looks like they're in trouble. Now, we know there's a lot of news coming out. They're not going to be covering the summit. They're trying to say that the summit's not going well. They keep doing different things. Actually, we saw a hack on cryptocurrencies in North Korea. We also had this message from the FBI, and we mentioned this in a report a couple days ago about how everyone needs to reboot their routers to stop Russia-linked malware. Now, what's very interesting about this is normally when you update a piece of firmware or software or anything like that, to have it take effect, you need to reboot your system. And the FBI is trying to tell us to get rid of this, we need to reboot our routers. Now, to me, what this says is that the intelligence agencies might have placed something on personal routers, office routers, and whatnot. Remember, the chips within these systems, they have full access. And I think they still do. They have the back doors. And I think what they did was they placed something, and for it to go live, the message had to go out that everyone had to reboot. And what they're telling you, to get rid of it, this thing from Russia, which we know this is not true, you need to reboot. And I think the opposite is happening right now. Now, why are they telling us to do this? Well, if the news comes out and it is very damaging to the deep state, and we know there's a lot in there, and if there's videos, if there's pictures, what can they do if everyone has this malware, if the majority of people have this on their routers? Well, they can shut them down, and you will not be able to access the internet. We talked about how they might be able to shut down the internet or try to kill it so you can't see any of this until, later on when they cleaned everything up, or they try to clean things up. And this might be something that they try to do. And it looks like this is the last chance for the deep state to mount any kind of serious attack, because when you look at Q's posts, Q is saying this is going to be worldwide. False flag weather alert. Worldwide. This is telling you that this is going to be pretty darn big. So they're going to be pulling out all the stops. And if you really think about it, Q team, Trump, the Patriots, for all this to come out, I know people are getting upset. Why are they continually waiting and waiting and waiting? Because normally what the deep state does, where they have all these little distractions, they usually have some type of false flag event, maybe in a school, in a church. And if you notice, Q is waiting, Trump is waiting, the Patriots are waiting for Q to be let out, for school to be let out, for everything to be over and said and done with. And they're waiting nationwide so they can limit the amount of things the deep state can do. Now, they can do other things, but they're trying to limit it in schools, in churches, and other areas. Now, this doesn't mean that they can try someplace else, but you can see this is why, one of the reasons why they might have been waiting. But this message from the FBI is very concerning, that they might be able to shut down the internet to many, many people's homes, and you might have to completely wipe whatever you have on your router completely off it, or it might have to be completely thrown out and you might have to buy a new one. We don't know as of yet, but this is a very interesting thing that is happening right now. So places that most likely we might see things happen, maybe mass transit, maybe populated shopping centers and things like that. We don't know. But there is a warning out there telling us to be vigilant at this point. Now, we can see that Kim Jong Un in post 1450, Q is saying that, where was Kim tonight? How was this known? You're watching a plan being set in motion. Enjoy the show. That was post 1449. This is post 1450. It says, Gardens by the Bay. See previous pics. Timestamps, coincidence. Everything shown has a meaning. You're watching a scripted movie. And we can see right now when we look at the timestamp of all these pictures, it's 11/11. Q, going back in time, has told us on 11/11 we're going to have a parade of parades. So Q is still keeping to this date. And in post 1451, Q says, does Kim look nervous prior to the big meeting with POTUS? Well, if you look at the picture, he's with the foreign minister of Singapore, and it looks like he's pretty darn happy. He doesn't look nervous at all. So we can see that Kim Jong Un is not nervous, and Q is saying, did they already meet long ago? Yeah, they did. Is he preparing at his hotel with his advisors ahead of time? Or is he out enjoying the freedom he never had in the past? The deal is done. It's all said and done. The world is safer, and Iran is next. And this is where everything is moving. Post 1453. He goes back, Q is going back to the Inspector General's report, saying that there's heavy redactions. You might get to see a couple of A's and they and the, but after that, censored. Why was the executive order put on ice? To wait for the release of the Clinton investigation portion of the Inspector General report. Why? To include in the declassification. Why would it be important to include? All in one. Optics are meaningful. Political hit job narrative. Not right versus wrong. Projection. End of the Democratic Party leaders. Inspector General points to Huber. Who appointed Huber? Sessions. Reread again, slowly and carefully. Post 1454. EU sanctions for Iran. Leaders of the European Union only care about protecting flow of money, not the safety and security of the people of the world. Iran deal orchestrated for the sole purpose of lifting sanctions blockade to allow access of foreign businesses for individual and co-wide enrichment. Scam. Nothing to do with nukes. Hussein pallets of cash. Hussein secret authentication to convert to US dollars. More coming. No mainstream media coverage. Got popcorn? Q. So what we see happening right now is everything is coming out into the open. We see the whole summit. It's already been done. This is just a show. We see the Inspector General report. It's going to be coming, waiting for a specific time, then waiting to put the executive order out after that to declassify. It's all going to hit the fan. This is why Q is saying, stay vigilant. There might be something big headed our way. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.